And if not, I'll go down in here.
I take it you also got hit up in Santa Fe by people? Yeah, I had like
Oh,
absolutely, and they're like, we've had this conversation for the last 3 years. It's like, I know there's so many things that have to like fall into place to make it work.
That's what I said. So I don't want to tell anybody more. I said, oh, it's close. I don't say anything anymore because
I have to tell you a funny story, Dennis. He's not paying attention.
Good.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everybody out to the Roy City Council meeting for August 5th. Time is now 5:30. I want to recognize that we do have Councilmember Paul with us tonight, Councilmember Saxton, Councilmember Scadden, Councilmember Wilson, and Councilmember Jackson. We appreciate you all being with us. We do have, we asked Councilmember Paul if she would go ahead and lead us in a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Sophie?
Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sophie. Okay, Council, we have one consent item. It deals with service vehicles or surplus vehicles. If you have any comments or questions, I think Brandon, you might be the best person to explain if there's a question on it. Since it looks like, Matt, it looks like these all come from Public Works. Any comments or questions relative to the consent items?
I was just going to kind of remind people how oftentimes we're so lucky to be able to actually make a little bit of money when we do this turnaround. It's kind of a hard thing to believe and remember, but it's been very helpful for our budget. So thank you for organizing that and helping us. Every little bit makes a big difference. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you, Diane. Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, no, as I say, just to build off of what Diane said, we're basically in the car flipping business. So anytime you see us taking and selling surplus vehicles, we're typically making money off of them. So yeah, as I say, this is actually, if you want your government to be run like a business, this is one of those types of things that any business would go through and do because they're actually already doing it in the private sector. We actually learned that trick from the private sector. So.
That's correct. Okay, thank you, Randy. Anything else? Okay, hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion then to approve the consent items?
so moved.
Thank you, Ann. Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed say nay. Okay, consent items are approved. This is a public comment period. If you have anything you'd like to share, anything you'd like to talk about, it's a great time to do that. So all we need is your name and address. Please.
Leon Wilson at 4302 South, 2675 West in Roy. We've all heard the story of the golden goose that laid the golden eggs. As you may recall, the goose lays one golden egg per day, which the farmer and his wife sell for a good price, making them wealthy. They decide to kill the goose, believing they can retrieve all the golden eggs at once. However, they find nothing inside the goose's belly. The moral to the story, had they not killed their precious golden goose, they would not have deprived themselves of getting a reliable and steady source of income from their special bird. The end. I liken our city's rainy day fund to the golden goose. We can eat away at the goose, and in short order, we will have killed our golden goose. The alternative is we can feed that goose and we can make her grow healthy and fat. She will then bless our lives with abundant interest eggs. By law, we can have a golden goose the size equal to 35% of the city's overall budget, which is around $10 million, which when invested would yield around $500,000 a year. Now that interests me. $500,000 is like getting a 10% tax increase every year without asking citizens for a dime. Think of it. Had our golden goose been laying our golden eggs worth of interest each of the last 8 years, how differently the current conversation would be. We wouldn't be facing a tax increase. Our workforce would not have gone elsewhere for higher pay, and very possibly we could be providing a tax decrease. I strongly encourage you not to eat away at the golden goose, but rather fatten her up so she can feed us in the future. In other words, don't use the sale of one-time city property monies to pay for ongoing yearly expenses. Put that money into the rainy day fund. Fatten the goose. If you include that money into this year's budget, we're encumbering next year's city council to an automatic 11% tax increase next year, assuming all things equal. Grow the goose. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else like to share a thought? Please, name and address.
David Young, 4870 South, 2575 West. Wheezy had the time of her life. She told me that I needed to come and put it on the record that she was honored, had the best time in the parade, and all the sweating and heartache and just nervousness that she had the weeks before was well worth the ride. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Okay. Okay, name and address.
I'm Katie Murdoch. My address is 4552 Trailside Drive. I just want to speak to the new rail runner development. Development is going to happen. Growth is going to happen. It needs to happen, and it will happen whether we want it to or not. What I am asking, and what I would like to be considered, is to have speed humps added to the neighborhood to the south of the rail runner development. I'm excited to meet my new neighbors that will be moving in hopefully soon. But I want to make sure that our neighborhood that is pre-existing is not bearing the burden of speeding and traffic from individuals who don't live there now, who don't understand the dynamic of the neighborhood where there are so many children. I do believe that speed humps would be probably the easiest way to address that. I drove over the ones on the north end, exiting out onto 4000. I thought they were great. I think that would be a wonderful thing to happen in our neighborhood. The other thing that I would love to have considered is that another traffic study be done after phase 2 is fully occupied. Because if that happens, we can see if anything needs to be done on the city level to keep the traffic from becoming problematic. Because people are going to move in. It's a development. They own the property. It's going to happen. But that is something that I would love for the city council to consider, is not issuing additional certificates of occupancy until we have a traffic study done post the occupancy of phase 2. That is all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your input. Name and address, please.
My name is Bryce Gregory. I live at 4598 West Park Drive. You can probably guess what I'm here to talk about. I could not be more against speed humps at this point. you know, that's a last resort. I am adamantly against red curbing the street
Red curbing.
because that would give the street the feel of a major thoroughfare as opposed to a sleepy side street, which is what it was designed to be. There are already, there's already a bottleneck as you come up the road, bottlenecks right where Trailside begins. But then it's wide open straight down there. My recommendation is lighted speed signs. You know, we can't assume that everyone's going to break the law. You know, I've been watching the traffic of the construction workers. They've been very respectful going in and out, even the large equipment. So I think that it's way too soon to make irreversible changes to the street. Especially when, you know, we're punishing people for sins not yet committed. All right, that's, I really think that it was poorly thought out. When it first went in, I would have spoken up earlier, but when they started building it, there was a big gate at the end of it. I thought, oh, well, it's self-contained. Well, I found out differently, didn't I? It boggles my mind that there isn't some thought of putting businesses along the north because, I mean, you've got captive residents there that maybe they don't want to go all the way into town, but right now, the way Roy's set up, if you want to do anything, you leave town and spend your money somewhere else. So that's a couple of thoughts that I had, and thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Ben Stevenson. Address is 4677 West Park Drive. So adding to the crowd here, I just want to, first of all, thank you for your time and thank you for listening to us. And thank you for what we have noticed you do. It sounds like there's been a cop looking for if anybody's speeding down that way. So thank you for that time that you've, and resources that you spent there. And again, there have been multiple traffic studies. So again, here to express my concern about the ongoing Rail Runner Townhomes development. Understand the need for additional housing. I'm not surprised that the area behind my neighborhood is being developed. I don't have issues with more people. I've only been in Roy for a little over 3 years myself. It'd be very hypocritical of me to not want anybody else. Housing is a necessity. My main concerns are for the safety of our children. I've got both of my sons here today. I want them to grow up in a place where they can play outside. The increasing difficulty of all the extra cars will cause in getting in and out of the area, especially during peak traffic hours. I believe that this project is moving forward a little too aggressively without fully understanding the long-term effects on our neighborhood. The soon-to-be residents that have no idea what they're moving into. Imagine moving into a place thinking you found a new home and it's a nightmare getting in and out. That's not what they're signing up for. And also the greater Roy community. The trains are already hard for all the people west of the trains. Adding a couple thousand more cars right at those critical points will only add to that frustration a little bit there. So construction is still underway and units are unoccupied right now. Until phase 1 and 2 units are finished, filled, and the new residents have settled in, we simply cannot evaluate the true impact of these townhomes and the impact that they will have on our street, especially when it comes to the traffic and the congestion in and out of our area. That's why I'm asking for the Roy City Council to pause any future phases or expansions of this development until these key conditions are met. So I've got 3 here. So 1, current construction is fully completed. Don't want anybody to be out of their investment. But let's let them complete phase 2 that they've started. all existing units are filled and lived in. Again, it's hard to know an impact until the people are there. And then 3, we've had a time to observe the actual impact on our neighborhood, including conducting a new up-to-date traffic study that reflects, that reflects occupancy of phases 1 and 2, takes into account the 4,000 south entrance and exit restrictions that only have right turns in and out. The 2023 traffic study makes the assumption that westbound on 4,000 South will have the ability to turn left into the development, and that is not the case. So again, only when we can have these 3 conditions met will we be able to make a responsible decision about whether our roads, infrastructure, and community can support phases 3 through 7. This is not a request to halt growth in any way, but it is a call for responsible, informed planning that puts the safety of our citizens and well-being of our residents first. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Name and address, please.
My name is Melissa Conkling. I live at 3122 West, 4725 South. And I came here because I'm unhappy with the way that Roy City has been run. I've lived here for 24 years now. I came in 2001. I love Utah, and I never want to leave, honestly. I love the mountains, I love the weather, I love the people. But Roy City, guys, come on. You have built multi-level properties and all these houses and all this stuff. We do not have the infrastructure to support this. We already run low on water. We live in a desert. It's dry. Every year they complain, water, 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 we're running out. You can't build more houses and keep having people expect to have water, and then you have people who have brown lawns and everybody complains. We need business in Roy. Everybody leaves Roy and goes to Riverdale and goes to Clinton. Nobody shops here because there's nowhere to shop at. There is 2-3 grocery stores. They're great grocery stores, and I love them, and I shop at all of them. Well, except for Harmon's. Nobody can afford to shop at Harmon's unless you got money. I don't. But we need more business. We need a restaurant, another fast food place. Restaurant would be good because I don't know about y'all, but I have a lot of food allergies, and there's no place for me to eat. I have to go to Layton or go to Riverdale and find one of those big places so I can actually get something to eat. I have gluten intolerances and other things. That's not the point. The point is we need a business in Roy. Find a place to put a business, to make it a destination so we are not just a drive-through little bedroom community. When I moved here 24 years ago, it was a beautiful little bedroom community, and it had room for growth. It had plenty of places to put business, and I thought, great, I'm going to grow my kids here. This is a beautiful community, wonderful neighbors, and now my kids can't afford to live in the neighborhood they grew up in. They can't. Nobody can. If you've got a kid like I do, young adults, I have a 28-year-old that lives here in Roy, renting a house. That's all they can afford to do, and he makes good money. He would have been a firefighter, but he doesn't get paid enough. Every firefighter out there, I'm sure you can ask one, they have to work a second job to be able to afford to live here. That's ridiculous. We have the 3rd highest housing rates in the whole United States. Why? I mean, it's great. I want to live here. But if you're driving all of our young people out because they can't afford to live here, what good is that? So we need business. I know you have very few places to build business, and I've heard all the excuses that we need to have, more firefighters and more policemen, and there's high turnover. Well, why can't we conglomerate or coexist with taking a whole bunch of communities and combining police departments or combining fire departments? You cannot tell me that every little city needs their own fire department. Every little city needs their own police officers. Really? Why? We have Weber County. I'm sure they have got enough, and I don't see our firefighters fighting fires every single day. So it's ridiculous. We can combine all these little cities, West Haven, Roy, Clinton, Riverdale. Have I gone over time?
Thank
Sorry.
you. Okay,
Anyway, think about it.
thank you. Okay. Name and address, please.
Brian McMillan, 4614 West Park Drive. I just wanted to start out by reading a quote from an email I received from the mayor about the Rail Runner development. And he says, "My personal opinion is that the people in your community just don't want people traveling through on that public street. The comments that children will be hit, crime will increase, speeding vehicles will race down your street, or the latest one about the types of people who will be living in those townhomes are all fronts to the real issue of not wanting more people living in your area. If I'm wrong, let me know why I'm wrong." So you are wrong, Mr. Mayor. My neighbors and I were never naive enough to think that the land would not be developed eventually. But all of us thought it would be regular homes and not hundreds of sardine-packed housing units served by one single solitary impaired road entrance. Until recently, the amount of new homes was always kind of an ambiguous, probably on purpose number. We never knew what the situation was going to be. It was always fluid, always changing, and it was never communicated properly. COVID did not help with that one little bit. Multiple city council members have acknowledged that this is a poorly planned project. Every time I hear someone talk about Rail Runner, they comment about how awful the planning was. This isn't just my neighbors. Mr. Mayor, you yourself have mentioned you have concerns about volume of traffic, only to pull a full 180 this last email and gaslight us and basically tell us we're all making this up. I'm not trying to burn bridges with the mayor or the city council, but I'm not going to stand by and let the mayor act like a Washington politician and gaslight me and my neighbors and call into question our integrity. I don't play political games, and neither do we. We're just trying to help our families. We're just trying to live our lives, and we're just trying to live in a livable, safe neighborhood. We are expressing legitimate concerns and not putting on a front as you've accused us of doing. The real issue here is access. There's no universe that hundreds of homes on a single public street with an impaired entrance could ever be acceptable. There's also no universe where competent city planners, city attorneys, and city officials could stand behind this project and think it's not a huge liability for the city. This is not rocket science, it's common sense. We have one public road entrance exit to serve hundreds of homes. This one exit, already impaired, is you cannot left turn exit, and it's a hazard. It's not acceptable. Even the city planner couldn't give me another example of an area with so many homes served by one public entrance. Future plans for phases in this development include way too many units for this neighborhood to remain livable, and it also jeopardizes safety of residents more and more for each approved phase. The private entrance north is barely usable. Right now, I think it's blocked, and it becomes simultaneously inaccessible when trains are there and it will only allow a right turn exit, right turn entrance. When there's a train, you're not going to be able to exit the neighborhood from there. My neighbors and I, we brought up legitimate concerns. There are a range of concerns, and they're all valid. I'd hope you keep your personal opinions of your citizens' concerns to yourself unless you're ready to personally take responsible the first time an ambulance can't access the road, or the first time a kid gets hit by a car speeding through the neighborhood along Rail Runner. I asked the mayor and city council to take this matter seriously. You may not agree with what me or my neighbors say. I ask that you treat us with dignity and respect. And do your job to represent us and serve us no matter how much we may disagree on matters. I always recognize when public servant listens and responds, and at least puts the effort to solve problems. I'm not going to accept deflecting the blame on the citizens you represent, especially when it's the city that put our neighborhood in this predicament in the first place. Please don't issue any additional building permits until all existing units are occupied by tenants and a proper traffic study can be completed. Then and only then, please make a determination if it's safe to continue building. Thank you guys for your time.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else like to share a thought?
First of all, Dennis Brown, 2119 West, 6000 South in Roy. First of all, I thought the salmon bake was very, very nice, and I enjoyed it and got to meet a lot of nice people. I want to talk about the city budget for the tax proposal. And It's my understanding that the city budget's about $28.5 million for the year, and that on the rainy day fund, you're required to have 5% of your city budget. So if my math's correct, that's $1,425,000 as far as the required rainy day fund. Last year, I know people talked about using some of the rainy day fund to keep property taxes down, and I think the city council did not approve that. And I think the rainy day fund is about $3 to $3.5 million last year. So with $4 million rainy day fund this year, if you take and double the tax amount, I hope you write this down, some of you, but if you double the rainy day fund from 5% to maybe 10%, because maybe you feel like 10% is more user-friendly for the city, that still gives you a surplus of, so if you go from 5% to 10%, that's $2,850,000, okay? Well, I figure if the rainy day fund right now is currently $4 million, and if you subtract $2,850,000 from that, that gives you $1,150,000. I am proposing that you take that $1,150,000 and apply that to lowering the city's property tax needs on the people of Roy City. I'm telling you to increase, but the required amount to double what's actually required, but I don't think it needs to be $4 million. I don't think the city's ever had an emergency day fund that requires that much money. I don't have the history of Roy City, and you probably do. But have you ever had is that something that big, to your knowledge? And I disagree with what Leon had to say. I don't think the city's ever used the rainy day fund. So if it's not ever going to be used, how can it be applied for the city employees or anything else? The last thing I want to say is, so my proposal is to use $1,150,000 towards the lowering the taxes on the citizens of Roy City. The last thing I want to just say is that I've been in the Public Works parking lot a couple of times the last 3 or 4 months. And today I went and drove by there one more time in order to address the city council. I've seen between 9 and 10, maybe 11 Dodge Ram Chargers, which are the black cars the city has used for police department. And I see that it looks like most of them have been used, and they're dirty, so I know they're not being currently used in the fleet. I don't think they are. But can the city look at maybe selling those Dodgers, those 9 Ram Dodge Chargers, if they're not being used? If they're needed, then keep them. I don't know if every officer has to have his own vehicle, but I've been in the parking lot 3 times in the last 4 months, just checking, and those cars do not fluctuate up and down. So I'm guessing they're not being used. And a Charger probably runs between $50,000 to $100,000 for the city. I don't know what they cost, but you may be able to get some resources from that. I appreciate your time and effort. And I know you have a work session left after this year, but keep those 2 things in mind in your deliberations. I know we can't say anything in that meeting, but can we come and attend that meeting, Mayor?
The answer is that's a public meeting, yes.
Okay.
So it's after this meeting downstairs.
Okay, thank you. Keep those 2 things in mind. I just want to try and propose some proposals for you to consider.
Thank you. Okay, name and address.
Robert Hodges, 5810 South, 3750 West. Bob's good to see you. I figured you'd be looking a lot older than now. Sophie, always nice to see you. I got my love note from Weber County. They send me one of these every year to tell me how much they love me because they think I'm rich. And according to this one, Roy wants 28, I put my glass on, I'm old, 28.1% increase. Okay, so, and I don't know if you need that or not, but it also says that you're going to get an extra $1.4 million from that, above what you've got now. So my question is, and this is especially for Ms. Diane Wilson and Mr. Randy Scadden, since you're being voted on this time, what's that money going for? Why do you need so much? And is it earmarked for things, or is this just we need a slush fund for things that are going to come up? Either one of you. I don't care. Bob?
We're
No,
not
no,
allowed to.
no, no. Yeah, this, Bob, is your time.
Okay.
What we want to do is listen to everything you want to say.
Okay,
We
well,
don't respond.
I hope we have another meet and greet before the election, but I don't think we're going to. So maybe after the workaround, or you guys could give us some answers on that, because that seems like an awful lot of money. And it seems like everybody says, oh, that doesn't mean we're going to get the full 1.4 million, but in the 25 years living here, it's almost guaranteed that whoever asks for on this, they normally get. So thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to share? Name and address, please.
Yeah, Blaine Esplin, 4523 Trailside Drive. First a note on a good coworker of mine lives in Roy. He's lived in Roy his whole life. Went to school here. Really nice guy, about my age, a little bit older. He recently purchased a home. He says, let the city know I didn't purchase a home in Roy. Why? There's nothing here. It's turned bad, as this other gal said earlier. There's just nothing here. He's purchasing a new home in Ogden. He's kind of saying good riddance to Roy. I said, hey, I like it here. I moved here a year ago. There's things I don't like, but hopefully we can make it better. So just wanted to share that. As many of my neighbors have said, I'm not against new housing, new developments. This will happen. It is happening. Again, just the access. And I don't know what planet you think it's okay to put 200-300 apartments in with one access road. Again, that's been talked about, but one access road. Mayor Dandoy, you said in a previous email, why didn't I get involved earlier? Well, I moved here about a year ago, but as you know, Mr. McMillan, many of my neighbors have been involved for 3, 4, 5 years. They've met with Matt Andrews, they've met with city planners, they've met with people over this rail runner. Have we been listened to? Have we been considered? Probably not as well as we'd expect to. We would hope that moving forward that can be done, that things can be resolved here. But again, it was the city's decision to put this development where it was put. Now let's work to figure out access and to get things done here. You also said that, as Mr. McMillan mentioned, that we're overly concerned, maybe too concerned, hyper concerned about what could happen with traffic. Is it unreasonable to expect substantial traffic from 200 plus apartments through one road? Is that unreasonable? So we're getting chastised, or at least I felt like I was chastised in that email saying, why didn't you get involved early? We've been involved. Now we're being chastised for saying, what are you worried about, traffic? There's no traffic. These are not the droids you're looking for. There's no traffic here. So we just can't win that way. We get chastised for not getting involved early. We get chastised for speaking up about things that aren't there yet. So as the neighbors have said, let's wait until phase 1 and 2 are occupied. Let's put a halt on building. These guys are building so fast, I'd be willing to bet that they got phase 3, 4, and maybe 5 halfway, 2/3 built by the time phase 1 and 2 are occupied. Let's not do that. Let's get these in. Let's get a traffic study done at an appropriate time. Let's get that done. I've just seen the city blow us off. I appreciate Councilman Randy Scadden that's been in our neighborhood. He's talked to the neighbors. He's taken an interest. He's become involved. He's looking for solutions. Let's continue to do that. Speed humps are great. If not speed humps, traffic signs, I don't care what it is, let's do it. And let's just get it done. Let's figure out maybe how to make that North Road a little more accessible. I'm sure that's been hashed through the courts and hashed through things, but you talked at one time about having a town hall. How about having a town hall with the city, with those private land developers, and with DAI, the developer, and say, how in the world, even though you may not want to, and I know there's only so much you can do on a private road, but for crying out loud, these citizens to the south with a private road, how can we make that North Road a little more passable? Right now, there's no trespassing signs on both ends of it. So that's welcoming. Yeah, like I'm a new resident, and I do look forward to meeting the new residents, but I'm a new resident, and like I'm going to go that route. It's not advertised or anything, and there's no trespassing signs. That's ridiculous. I understand it's private property. Maybe the city can put a nice flashing neon sign up that says, rail runner, turn here. Well, okay, now I'm being ridiculous, but seriously, thank you for your time. Thank you for running. Thank you for serving our city. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to share a thought? Name and address, please.
Dave Beckett, 2788 West, 4400 South. I came here, I was a little fired up, and I thought, you know, it doesn't do any good just to come and complain, so I have some solutions as well that I'd like to present. I've lived in the city for 32 years. I voted for each one of you. I am disappointed, and I have to say that, with what's happened in the last few years. Chris Davis, when Chris Davis was the city manager, he was fired, and he was doing a fine job. The city was clean. Yards were taken care of a little bit better, but I think what's happened over the past few years is we've allowed a lot of rentals to come in. People renting their homes. We've got now multi-level or multifamily housing. Whenever you allow that to come in, people do not have pride of ownership. They allow it to decline. The people who own those properties don't stay on top of them. We probably have code enforcement that's supposed to be doing that, but they can't get around to it, whatever. Let's fire them. That could help our budget out. Let's turn it over to community policing. Individuals, neighbors, take a picture of the house, turn it into the city and say, this property is dilapidated. I've got pictures. I went through my neighborhood. About a third of the homes, the grass is this long to maybe this tall. Behind my backyard, it's disgusting. People are getting rats coming over in their backyards. It's deplorable. We don't need that in Roy. And so let's start charging the property owners for that. If they're landlords, make them pay for it. Make it a hefty fine. $300 the first offense if it's not cleaned up in 30 days. Then the next month, double that. Keep doubling it until it's taken care of, and enforce it. As far as employees deserve to have pay increases. I look at my employees. I looked at, Mayor Dandoy, I appreciate the work that you went to in putting together this budget and what the employees are making. I looked at what my own employees are paid. City employees are not too bad. I mean, they're being compensated pretty fairly compared to what my employees, who most of them have college degrees, are being paid. Are there evaluations done on the employees, performance evaluations? If they don't achieve a certain level, maybe they should be limited on the amount that they're paid. My employees, we're all limited to 3 to 4% per year, and maybe the employees of the city aren't getting that. Our police and fire department, we do need to make sure that we're protected. And I appreciate, we've had medical at our house a couple of times for family members. I have the utmost respect. They are incredible. The professionalism that they show, they need to be paid well for that. There's some other city employees that I question what they do. Watering during the middle of the day at the city parks blows my mind. And it's a constant, last summer, this summer, and it just keeps going. I've called multiple times, it doesn't seem to change. Part of compensation factor for city employees, if they live in the city and they've paid property taxes for over a year, maybe discount their property taxes as part of their compensation for them. We were embarrassed in May by 4 police officers at a conference. That was paid for by taxpayers. That should be reimbursed to the taxpayers by those police officers. Those police officers should not be employees of the city. They embarrassed us. And we need to have people that we're proud of. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments, questions, anything you'd like to share? Name and address, please.
I'm Diana Esplin. I live at 4523 Trailside Drive. I'm here with many of my good neighbors, expressing very similar concerns over this rail runner project. We've been here before. We've been here a lot. We've had a lot of conversations about it. And so now I have some questions. There are questions, I know you can't answer them right now, but we'd like them answered. And the first one is, why are you sticking your heads in the sand over this? The problems are obvious. They really are. Every one of these units has a 2-car garage. They will not be filled with flying cars, and people are not going to take Front Runner to the grocery store. They're just not. they're going to drive on Roy City streets. It's a math equation. 200 units brings a minimum of 400 additional cars, all coming in, as has been pointed out, over one impaired public access that's going to cause so many problems. I know we've talked about 4800 South. You put that many cars trying to turn right in there, there's going to be accidents and it's going to back up to the trains very quickly. Those people are going to have guests in their homes. As of right now, there is no additional parking to be seen anywhere in that complex. The only parking, you pull right into those 2-car garages and that's it. There's no guest parking. So where are they going to end up? They're going to end up in the West Park neighborhood and they're going to walk in. That's a huge problem. I've lived in neighborhoods before where those things happen. We have no control over it, and people will park there for days, literally days on end, as they come and visit people in these apartments. We've talked about the traffic study. If we wait until after people move in to fix some of these problems, I fully support the speed humps, signs, stop signs. Put it all in. That would be super. We need to do whatever we can to make sure that our West Park neighborhood, our children, our families, our homes are protected. We're going to have new neighbors there. That's fine. I agree with what everybody else has said. Please do not allow any further building, especially further south. But you're going to have problems if they go across the street too. But especially further south, please don't allow it until the ones that have already been started are full. Please don't let them start any more. Let's get these full. Let's see how things go and then reassess what needs to happen. My question is why are we fighting so hard against this? It's not difficult to say, we made a mistake. Now we need to fix it. Instead, we've been met with gaslighting, runaround, and ambivalence. It leaves all of us wondering what's in it for you, because there's not much in it for us. Where's your integrity? We don't want rhetoric or jargon or whatever. We just want some answers. So why is it so difficult to say that we need to rethink this plan? We might need to rethink what we told the developers. The situations have changed. The access isn't what we thought it would be. We need to go back and revisit traffic studies that we already have and honor those. And we need to take a closer look. Maybe there's things we didn't fully consider. All good projects go through revisions. They go through changes as they're being created.
Okay.
Guess that's it.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Name and address, please.
Amanda Esplin. I am at 4523 Trailside Drive. You've heard from me before, and you're going to hear from me again. As a young person and a young adult, I have lived in high-density housing. I understand that people need a place to live and the city needs their revenue. However, with this perspective, please hear me out on the issues I can see happening for the renters and for the people of the West Park neighborhoods. If we wait until rail runner units are built for a traffic study, it will be too late. You will have a multitude of issues if you wait. We need a study as soon as renters occupy the current units. When all of phase 3 has been built, there's going to be more accidents on West Park Drive, on 4800, because it doesn't take anyone smart to be like, that's a whole bunch of extra cars that are going to try to turn right into that neighborhood. People have already been rear-ended there. And what's going to happen when somebody gets rear-ended there? You're going to get backed up onto the tracks, and that's going to create an impossible to access emergency for our first responders over here, which I'm sure don't want that. All right, so speed humps. We need speed humps. Anyone can drive by that entrance of the private drive to Rail Runner and see that they have already put in speed humps on that very narrow road. Yet our existing neighborhood has been begging you for speed humps on West Park Drive to solve our issue of these kids at play and the speeding issue of all of these extra cars. Yet the existing neighborhood has already told you in a well-received survey that we want speed humps or anything else that can slow down that traffic. Mr. Mayor, you have brought up the idea of putting no parking on West Park Drive. Let me give you another solution. Don't build phase 3 as rentable units. Consider another solution of having enough guest parking. I have lived in high-density apartments where there was not enough parking for everyone, and it was a pain, and it made me not want to live there. Couple that on top of these rent is so high that, like, what young adult in their right mind that's like me is going to be able to live there? I mean, even if I'm able-bodied, like, and I have a job and my husband has a job, like, who's going to afford to live there? And on top of that, if you don't have enough parking in Rail Runner, they're going to come into our neighborhood. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to park there for days and days and days on end. All right, so as a young person now living in this residential neighborhood, I want to have my friends over from time to time. I can't do that if there's no place for them to park in our neighborhood. Don't take the parking away from the existing neighborhood, please. And on top of that, don't gaslight us. Like, we are trying to find actionable solutions to this problem with you. All right, I hope we can see actionable solutions and action taken. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to share a thought? Okay, well, thank you for the input. Council, let me just, and I probably should just share this thought with you. Public comments are important. We don't always have to agree. In fact, you don't have to agree with anything that's taking place. And you certainly have a right to have a forum by which you can talk about it, express yourself, and provide input. And sometimes the conversation can be a little embarrassing. To the point about what the mayor said, what he read is exactly what I said. So there should not be any confusion in terms of my intent. There were some other pieces to that that you did not hear, and that's okay. But you have a right to hear it. You have a right to speak it. But let me just make this clear, okay? I like this. This is important. It's important for the city to function like this. But there is no legislation on the books that any mayor or any municipality is required to have public comments. We're required to have public hearings, and you're going to have one here in a few minutes, but not public comments. And many city councils don't. They just don't. And I think that's a shame. Whether we like it or we don't like it, okay, the fact is you have a right to it. And I like what you said, even though it can be embarrassing. You have a right to speak and you have a right to talk, and we have a right to listen. And so we're going to listen. Now, please understand, the public comment is your 4 minutes. Talk whatever you want to talk about. As long as you're basically not threatening to kill everybody, okay, you can say whatever you want. But if you really want to get answers to the questions, and I think you do, then please send those questions directly to the council or directly to the city manager, and let us give you an answer to all the questions you have. And if we can't, then we should find an answer for you. We should do that. But we're not going to stop you from talking, and we're not going to stop you from asking questions, and we're certainly not going to stop you to being concerned about your neighborhood or this city. And if you feel comfortable to stand up in front of us and talk about that, I could not be more pleased. That's what we're here for. That's what we need to do. So please continue, even if it's a little embarrassing. Okay, council, we're out of the public comment period. We do have an action item. This one is a public hearing, and what that means is that on this particular topic, we encourage you to step up and give us your thoughts, okay, during the public hearing portion of this particular resolution that's being proposed. So with that, I believe, Brody, you're going to help us and guide us through Resolution 25-23, consideration of amending to the Roy City annexation policy, a plan to include an area north of the railroad tracks, which are north of Hinckley Drive and east of 1900 West, comprising of 25 acres. Walk us through this, Brody, and then I'll open up a request or a motion to go into public hearing.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Council. Good evening. So this is Resolution 2523. I want to say at the outset, because I've heard some confusion, this does not annex any property into Roy tonight. That is not what we're doing. The way this came about is the property owner of the 25 acres at the location described in the resolution has talked with, quite frankly, multiple municipalities in the area. They've talked with Weber County, where it's currently a part of Weber County, unincorporated Weber County. They've talked with Ogden. They came and talked with Roy. They do have some plans for this parcel. In their conversations with Roy, they asked us if we would be amenable to one day annexing this property, and we said we would certainly look at it. So the first step is to amend our annexation policy plan to include this geographical location, the 25 acres at issue. So that is what we did at the property owner's request. It started in Planning Commission. They followed the state code, took input, had their own public hearings, had a couple questions, went through that. That information is in your packet. I won't dwell on it. But it did move forward with a 7-0 recommendation from Planning Commission to this body for the amendment to our policy plan. That is the only thing that this resolution does. Just in all candidness, I think there would be some issues that the property owner has to work through in order to be lawfully annexed into Roy. Whether they proceed on that, I honestly can't tell you if they're going to or not. This, quite frankly, came from the property owner who asked Roy City if we would look into this and make this option available to them, and we ran it through Planning Commission, and that's what brings us here tonight. So it is, yes, it is required to have a public hearing and hear from the public on this amendment because it is an amendment to our official annexation policy plan. Are there any questions before public hearing?
I had a question in regards to the request from 25 acres, and then at the end of the packet, it talked about a 55-acre parcel. And I was just wondering where that fit in. Would it be the full? It's on page 22 of that packet, the very last comment from Commissioner Thompson. Actually, I lied. That's not exactly where that's at, but it's actually on page 24. Page 24 underneath Area 6, the very last sentence of that first paragraph, it talks about a 55 acres. I was wondering, is the 25 acres just the yellow part?
Typo, I think.
Oh, just, okay, because I didn't know if it was the yellow or
Yeah.
the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah. We'll need to
Great,
correct that.
Yeah, we'll correct that.
Good catch. And I think it's this piece, Diane.
And the scope just,
The full red. I was just wondering.
Okay.
Okay, great, thanks.
you, anything else, Dan? Okay, and then the scope is just for, this policy is just the scope for that piece of property. It's not the broader annexation policy. It's just for this particular, these.
Yeah, so the only thing this does is includes this particular piece into our overall annexation
Annexation.
policy plan.
Yeah, okay.
It
So, yeah, the
essentially
scope
takes
is
that-
just this.
Takes that triangle and says, yes, if all the other conditions are met,
okay,
we would entertain an annexation request from the property owner.
okay.
Okay. Any other questions for Brody before I go and ask for a motion?
Did we open that to the public?
We are right now. So with that then, do I have a motion then to go into a public hearing?
So moved.
Thank you, Randy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. Okay, we are now in a public hearing. Please step up the mic. If you have a comment you'd like about this annexation, anything you'd like to share, just give us your name and address.
I am Kevin Homer. I live here in Roy at 5398 South, 4000 West. For this resolution 2523, I think it is a good thing. We've talked about this before where there are so little available plots of land to be included in Roy. I think this would be a good fit. If I remember correctly, it's currently zoned manufacturing with a proposal to maybe go residential. One of the things that does, I do support this resolution, by the way. I'm gonna say it's gonna be entertaining because I've seen the Ogden's city planning director here twice.
Yeah.
And he is very, very convinced that it would be illegal for Roy to annex this at all. Hopefully you'll give us a little update on that because I'm actually kind of surprised that he's not here right now. Maybe it means he's given up. I don't know. Regardless of that, I do support it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Name and address, please.
My name's Janelle Hulbert. I live at 4178 Westlake Drive in Roy, Utah. And I'm also in support of this resolution. I believe that it's a great opportunity for the landowners, but also for Roy City to look at and at least allow this to be an option for them. And I know that there will be some challenges that were mentioned by Brody. But I think that there's a lot of possibilities as well. So I think this is a great opportunity for us.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to share a thought? Name and address, please.
Yeah, I'm Ty Chasten, 3751 West, 5575 South. Yes, I have to agree this would be great for Roy City to acquire. However, knowing where Ogden's position is and the litigation that would take place, it's going to be very difficult for us to acquire it because Ogden does have it. And everything that I'm reading and understanding, we are a long shot from getting it, especially when it comes to sewer and water and how we're going to get that to that property because we can't make it flow uphill. So there is some problems with this, but it'd be great to bring in industry and other types of things. We need the building. We need the taxpayer dollars to come from that. However, acquiring this property is going to be very, very difficult, especially with the conditions that Ogden City has already put in place that I don't know if this is even something we can get. It's going to be very difficult, especially when it comes to just the utilities and other things that are going on. So I feel bad that a property owner in this situation can't do what he wants with his property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other thoughts? Name and address, please.
Yes, I'm Alexis Jackson at 5810 South, 4175 West, and I agree so far. You know, I think that this would be an excellent opportunity if we were able to go to acquire this property, and certainly we want it to be in the running. You know, if there are other entities that are interested as well, I think that this would be a good thing for us to put out there and say, we're interested in this. Obviously, the extra space would be fantastic. There's not a lot of unclaimed land left in Roy City, and so one big concern that I have so far with just in the city is the puzzle that is keeping the budget where we want it. And so an excellent way to try to capitalize on this property could be to consider commercial or other ways to introduce more tax monies into this. So this would be a good opportunity there where there is not a lot of land to build on now. Instead, we're looking more at redevelopment and that kind of thing. So this is a good a little bit of a bump there for some land that we can actually use. I also think this would be a good thing to signal to developers and to commercial that we are willing to go forward with this. And so if we have parcels we're willing to develop, we show that we are willing to do that. And that's the position that we're taking in the city.
Okay, thank you. Okay, name and address, please.
Jason Spar, 4480 South, 1650 West. I'm not going to be very long on this. I'm supporting it, in support of it. So I say we throw our hat in the ring. I know Ogden City pretty much has what they say that we can and can't do, but I think it would be bad for us to pass up the opportunity to at least consider it. And it's the property owner wanted us to look at it. I think we need to do that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, name and address, please.
Good evening, Mayor Dandoy, city councilors, city staff. My name is Barton Brierley. I'm the planning director for Ogden City, 2549 Washington Boulevard. I appreciate the invitation to come speak with you today on this important issue. We appreciate Roy, and I know we've cooperated a lot in the past on a lot of initiatives that have benefited both cities, and we hope that this will continue into the future. And when we're dealing with properties that are kind of in between the cities, there are times and locations where it's appropriate for Roy to take the lead, where Roy can provide the services, where it's in your annexation policy plan, and you can facilitate development. It's appropriate for Roy to take the lead. There's situations where it's appropriate for Ogden to take the lead on development. In this case, this is in Ogden's annexation policy plan area. Ogden can provide water service, Ogden provides sewer service, Ogden provide access to it and annex the property. Those are all things that unfortunately Roy cannot do. And so in this case, it is appropriate for Ogden to take the lead on the property. I don't know if you're familiar with the history on this. This was at one time in the Bonavista Water Service District. Bonavista found that they could not serve the area. They were having issues, and they actually petitioned the state to take it out of their water service area. And as part of that, Ogden had to take it over, so it's on Ogden's water service area now. We can provide sewer service. The streets are either abutting the property state highways, which would have very dangerous access, or on Ogden City roads, and so we can provide access to Ogden City roads on this particular property. There are requirements for state law that you have to do when doing an annexation policy plan. One of those is you're required to attempt to avoid overlaps between cities' annexation policy areas, and so please consider that on this. There are a number of requirements that you need to meet in Utah Code 10.2.803. The particular proposal in front of you doesn't meet many of those requirements. And as noted, the Utah Code 10.2.402.6b does require that you have a written resolution from the Ogden City Council to annex the property. And given that you've got a written letter from the Ogden City Council opposing this, your annexation policy plan amendment, I don't think you can expect to get that. So believe that it's appropriate to follow the Ogden City Council's recommendation and not adopt the policy plan. Now, the good news is Ogden can facilitate development of the property and promote economic development. And those benefits don't stop at city limit lines. Those benefits will benefit Ogden City, they'll benefit Weber County, they'll benefit Roy, and the other cities in the county. So we think it's in the best interest of both cities if you not adopt this amendment. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for your input. Okay, anybody else like to share a thought? Name and address, please.
Dave Beckett, 2788 West, 4400 South. I would be in favor of annexation, but having it remain the same zoning, not allowing it to go residential, allowing it to remain manufacturing or commercial, to keep the much needed tax base that we need, that tax base, generate jobs, give a little more balance to Roy City. Yeah, the issues with Ogden City would have to be worked out, but maybe that could be worked out somehow. Ogden City's currently not doing anything with it, so I'm sure there could be some compromise.
Okay, thank you. Name and address, please.
Yeah, Blaine Esplin, 4523 Trailside Drive. As I looked over the packet and looked over this, it looks like a good idea for growth, looks like a good idea to put housing in there. I am concerned, though, as mentioned, over Ogden City. Doesn't sound like they're going to let it go easy. I'm not aware of this. I'm a little naive, a little ignorant on this issue, but I'm wondering if it's going to be worth it. The person owns it, Roy would annex it, but to appease Ogden, what's that going to cost? What are you going to have to do if we say we really want this? Do we pay Ogden? Does the developer put in the water that can't get there? I'm just saying for the developer and maybe for the city of Roy, consider the cost that it's going to cost before you get that tax revenue from housing? Is it going to be too steep? Is it going to be too much? And again, I'm ignorant on that subject to who pays for all that, but please consider that. Maybe it does make more sense for Ogden to have it, although it'd be great to have a little more land there in Roy. So just consider that. And again, it's way early, but consider infrastructure. It looks like there's plenty of infrastructure there. It looks like you could get on and off Hinckley Drive. What would it take to put another traffic light in on Hinckley Drive? How would that affect the people around it? Blah, 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 et cetera, from earlier comments. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other comments? Okay, name and address, please.
My name is Anna Graff. I live at 5410 South, 2300 West. And I just wanted to speak in support of this. I've been visiting with some of my neighbors, some other citizens here in the city, and just talking about how we don't have a lot of space left. This is an opportunity. I'd love to see what options we have available for us as far as going the route of looking into the utilities and everything, seeing what that would look like for us, but at least throwing our hat out into the ring. I am in support. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay, other ideas, comments? Okay, seeing none then. Oh, please, name and address, please.
Melissa Conkling, 3122 West, 4725 South. I'm in favor if we can annex this only for commercial, no more residential.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, with that then, council, do I have a motion then to, the motion to get out of public hearing?
So moved.
Thanks,
Me
Brian.
and Brian duo, so moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Ann. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're out of public hearing. Council, you've taken public input. Brody's there to provide any clarity to some questions. It's kind of up to you. What would you like to talk about? Let me just clarify right now. The property in question is in fact in Weber County. Certainly, you've heard from Ogden. Ogden gave some perspective in terms of their intent, but it's kind of sitting there with the property owner kind of making a decision. Just for the record, and Brody stated it, Roy City did not acquire or have interest necessarily in this property. It's not to say it's not a great piece of property. There's a couple of great pieces of property that's in the county, but it was the property owner that approached Roy City. And Roy City is simply, in essence, obliging the request for us to consider an annexation request. So that's how we got here. Any other comments, questions, thoughts that we might be able to provide before I go for a motion?
Well, I just saw word reading through it that the developer also would pay for the infrastructure to have that come into that property, so it wouldn't be taking any money off of Roy City. He would be putting all that money out, so.
Right.
And I think it's very important to allow property owners to have some say over their property. More and more, that's sometimes being taken away. So if there's any chance to allow them some preference.
Yeah, and again, with what we're doing tonight, it just gives the property owner the option to annex. We're not annexing it in, we're just giving him the right to his property. So to your point, it broadens his ability and his options with how he wants to, manage and maintain his property. So yeah, I like it.
Other thoughts? I think you have to look at it, when you look at all sides of it, my comment to you, Council, would be is you have to look at all sides, and certainly you've heard all sides of this conversation. Obviously, the discussion would be is, would it be beneficial to Roy City? Yes. We have a common border. There happens to be on 1800 West that separates the city from a piece of Roy in there, and so we do have connection, okay, from some perspective. You have to address the issue in terms of what's the relationship between the cities in terms of trying to address this annexation process of unincorporated properties. That has to be weighed into the debate. You can arguably say that Ogden has approached this. They approached it earlier than Roy. Obviously, to some comments that were made earlier that You know, I think Roy City leadership in the past could have been more aggressive in terms of trying to address issues in the past, but this is not a piece of property by which that has happened. The other part would be is I certainly asked the county. County, you own the property. It's in your part. What do they feel? And one of the commissioners simply says, he's not supportive of it coming into Roy. And certainly these are all part of the conversations. But to your point, and I think there's some evidence to that would be is, what does the property owner say?
Right.
I mean, what rights does the property owner have in this process? And that has to be included. So when you look at these kinds of difficult conversations, you have to kind of look at it from what's the what's the property owner want to do, what's the neighbors want to do, and what's the city want to do. And the city, in this case, has to weigh in all of the options and look at all sides of this before they make a judgment call. So that's where we are at this very moment. So now the question would be is that do you have any other comments, any questions, anything else you'd like to discuss? Brody's standing by. He's ready to answer.
Outside of the unknowns, no. Like I said, that's, yeah.
Okay, well, did you?
Yeah, it sounds like it just comes down to property owners' rights. And all we're doing is giving him the right to be heard in Roy.
Correct.
And if Ogden is so inclined to do something with it, then that would be between Ogden and the property owner. But for us not to act on it, seems like that would be a mistake on our part if we did not at least play ball with the property owner. That's what I think.
Okay, other comments?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, the onus and burden is still on the property owner to do what he wants with his property, so I don't see a downside to it.
Okay. Then, having said all of that, and hearing no other comments or questions or issues directed to Brody, then do I have a motion then to approve Resolution 25-23, consideration of amending the Roy City Annexation Policy Plan to include an area north of the railroad tracks, which are north of the Hinckley Drive and east of 1900 West, comprising of 25.07 acres at approximately 1811 West, 3300 South.
So moved.
Okay, Randy, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Diane, this is a roll call vote. Brittany?
Councilmember Saxton?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson?
Aye.
Councilmember Paul?
Aye.
Councilmember Scadden?
Aye.
Okay, Resolution 25-23 is approved. Thank you. We now have some discussion items. I'm going to turn the time over for Diane to go ahead and discuss and present a discussion item dealing with My Hometown Initiative. Diane?
Thank you, Mayor. We have, over time, been looking towards opportunities to be able to help enrich and enhance our community. We have been nearly built out for a long time. We've had a changeover in the original owners to the next owners, and there has been a lot of changes, and we've been looking towards ways of trying to revitalize some of our areas. And in that regard, I would like to present this subject of the My Hometown Initiative. It is a community-driven program that focuses on revitalizing neighborhoods and strengthening community bonds. It was first started in West Valley in 2019 and has since been started in Ogden in 2022 and has been very prolific and had significant benefits. It's provided many long-term changes and improvements. The core principles are community collaboration and participation. The second is neighborhood beautification and housing improvement. And the third is elevating education and enhancing opportunities. And the fourth is fostering civility, safety, and community well-being. These are features that we find sometimes drifting in our societies today. Some of the key features that are usually part of this would be 2 to 3 days of service per year in the community, and these are external days of service. Weekly classes and sometimes one-time classes. There are requirements, and that is also on the information that you have. One of the key parts I want you to remember is this is considered a hand up and not a handout. And so in the Ogden program, those people that are involved do need to participate somewhat. They need to at least have some ownership and take some stake and contribute something towards it. Local businesses as well as neighboring citizens and neighboring communities are joining together, joining hands, and they have found some of the most important parts are that they are having less crime, they're having decreased homelessness, and they're having increased education in those areas. And although it's a short window of 3 years, over those 3 years, those particular benefits have been continuing and improving. And so I think part of the discussion is there are commitments that we have to do. We have to have a place for community service. That can be a church or not a church. There does have to be a local stake that's really sponsoring it. But for the city, we have to consider whether or not it's worth agreeing to cover insurance. So those that help sign waivers, but there does need to be some sort of insurance coverage in case of a major incident. And we may need to help with equipment, and maybe that will be dumpsters or other things. Now, each project is worked through with the city. So the city would agree to whatever the project is, but that is the commitment that the city would have to do. And so I think the first thing is to try to get an understanding of, is this program or even something that we'd be interested in? It certainly sounds like it's been good in the previous places. Layton has just started their own 6 weeks ago. They're getting ready to do their first project. And so the person that's over it here in Ogden, Steve Peterson of Peterson Incorporated, has asked if we're at all interested to have some of the council or mayor or community leaders attend their next day of service, which is August 16th. He'd like to take us around to pick a time of either 8:30 or 10, so he can show us what the program entails, what the logistics are, and then how the volunteers come together to participate with some street tacos, at least in the Ogden area, and see if it's something that we feel would benefit our city. So the idea is, are we interested enough to check into it? Because I don't believe we can make a decision unless we have more information. And then at some point in time, hopefully we'll be having another person giving a more detailed presentation in September. But we just didn't want to miss that opportunity in August 16th because the days of service are in the summer. And if for some reason we are really interested in it, it's not something that could even possibly be entered into until 2026. But we just don't want to miss that opportunity of August 16th if we're interested in something right away or, coming up. So I don't know if anyone has other questions or comments.
Well, I talked to the former chairman of this project. My son lives in South Ogden and actually helped with this project and helped build a wheelchair ramp for a house. And it's all exterior, cutting trees, trimming, all work outside of the home. They don't ever go inside the home. And he said it was one of the coolest things that he had participated in. It brought so many different people from different parts of life together, young men, young women, older people. They said that they tried to get them to put a little bit of money in it just so they would have skin in the game. And they do it from May to September, 2 to 3 days. He said they usually try to pick a whole street, and then I'll work on certain houses on that street. They don't do spot check, one house in one neighborhood and one in the other. And they just said what a difference it makes and turns neighborhoods around. And as I've heard people mention tonight, I'm on the beautification committee, and I've lived in Roy my whole life, and we were the most beautiful city back in the 60s. We got nominated for that. And going around trying to find the most beautiful yard, we're not the most beautiful city anymore. And it is really hard to see how people either have given up. I know when the drought hit that a lot of people quit watering their lawns, but there's a lot of people that just can't afford to do it. They're not in good enough health. You just have to find the circumstances, and they would have people, they would go around, neighborhood watchdogs, and find a specific area that need to be helped, and give them some pride back in their homes and their subdivision, and maybe that would reflect on another neighbor. And so I just think, I mean, to where my son and then this gentleman who's going to be taking over, Steve Griffin, who actually lives in your part of the woods in Honeyville, Brody, and he's willing to come to our city and do a whole presentation and say what a great idea it is. And so it's not run by the LDS Church. They don't proselyte. They don't do anything. They have all denominations from all over, and it's all volunteer. But he said it was something that he had never been so proud to be a part of, and how much it has gone and changed the streets and the places that they've helped. So I think, don't we have to have an application in by November if we wanted to do this for 2026? Is that what you said, Diane?
I don't know exactly what the date is. I just know that it is coming up for us to do that.
So I know that me and Diane were going to go on that day, August 16th, and kind of look at it. And then we could have this Steve Griffin said he's willing to come and give a presentation to the council and give us all the specifics of what it would take for the city. But they got Home Depot, Lowe's. They didn't pay for anything. Everything was all the supplies. My son said all the paint, all the wood. My son brought his own tools because he's a builder. Well, not an actual builder, but he knows how to build things. And they would have people bring a rake or a shovel, depending on what needed to be done. And so the city never provided any of that. Mostly the citizens would bring their own rake or hoe. And but everything was, sponsored from Lowe's or Home Depot. A dumpster, they had a Legacy roofing guy who brought his dumpster and hauled it away. So I think if we got the word out, we have a lot of contractors and developers that live in Roy, and I think they would all be willing to help if we could turn around our city and make it a beautiful city again. I think it's really a good thing.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, if we could actually piggyback off of like when we're doing our fall and spring cleanup, as far as like the 2 to 3 days of service. So that way we already have Public Works is down there ready and willing to accept, trash items. And then to like Mr. Beckett's point, and I've actually had multiple people ask me, what do we need to, what can we do to help beautify like all the people that are just not taking care of the yards? From a code enforcement perspective, we could use this as kind of a catalyst, as a reach out for those who are legitimately in need and maybe, not able to take care of their yards, where we could use these days of service to go out and actually serve those individual people as well. Because I'd actually gone down a different path too, because there's an organization called Keep America Beautiful, KAB.org, that only has like one branch here in Utah. But this seems like a kind of a copy of that same program, but they've already got it up and running. So no, I really like this. This actually sounds, I can get behind it.
Okay, other comments?
I was just going to mention that we do have a lot of concern over the beautification, and there are two ways to approach it. There's the carrot or the stick. So the stick is the code enforcement, and that has a tendency to actually increase maybe bad will for the city and stuff like that. And it does. And the studies show that when you use, whether it's this situation or not, when you use the carrot versus the stick, there's a better chance and higher chance you have long-term benefit from it. People then can move forward with it as opposed to just be upset and kind of a one-time thing. So I think if the more we focus on the carrot concept, the carrot side of things, hopefully we'll have longer benefits.
Okay, other comments?
Oh, I just wanted to mention for those, I can't remember which person made the comment about a code enforcer. I mean, I've known that guy since he was in elementary school, and man, he works his fanny off going around trying to keep everybody in compliance with the codes of the city. And he goes to their house, finds out their situation, and anything I can do to help. And sometimes they have medical problems, and he gives them the benefit of the doubt. And if they're just I don't care, he gives them a warning, and then if they don't comply, then they get so long to take care of their yard, and if they don't, they do get fined. And he does a great job. Every time I've given him a name, or I've had neighbors or friends that have called me, and I said, this is the guy you call, and he's prompt, go right down to their house and find out what the situation is, and he's been a great code enforcer for our city.
Thanks for that comment. But it does go to the issue about how that process is working.
Right.
And as you said, Ann, it's triggered by a complaint.
See something, say
Right.
something, yeah.
So you see a problem, and I've certainly have seen the problem, and we go right to Matt or go to the code enforcement, and somebody go check this address. But we're not all over the city. Okay? We're just not. And the fact of the matter is that the policy is that there has to be a complaint.
Yeah.
And my frustration, and you've seen it as well, is that the neighbors don't like it, but they don't complain about it.
Right.
So unless you're basically traveling across the entire city, okay, every day and picking out addresses and forwarding those to the city so code enforcement can get the job done, the reality is it ain't getting done.
Right.
And it's not just residents. You can drive down the street and look at businesses.
Mm-hmm.
There's a number of those that are not in compliance as well. So the question then becomes is that and you know this, Brody can testify to it, he's asked for another code enforcement officer.
Right.
And you have to ask the question is, do you want to buy that?
Right.
Yeah.
And the other part of that question is, are you satisfied with the policy that basically says that code enforcement does not drive around looking for a problem, it's addressing the complaints that are provided to them? And if you're saying, well, that's not the policy. The policy should be is that he's on the road and he's basically finding the problem just like you find the problem. If that's the policy, then you need to change that. And the council has that authority. And if he needs more resources, then you funded half of a code enforcement. I'm not sure how that's working out for you, Brody.
Nobody
But
applied.
half of a code enforcement
Right.
doesn't do anything.
Right.
So if you're saying is that let's clean up the city, then maybe two things need to be addressed. I'm taking the liberty of expanding this, but there's some things that I think are relevant here, and then how does this program fit, Diane? Is that, do you feel that code enforcement needs more resources to be able to do the job? And if that's the case, then fund half of the other person that you've already funded and get a full-time code enforcement to work with the other code enforcement to get this done, and then change the policy. And said, we expect the code enforcement to be on the road finding the problems.
Well, when we have a money tree, that may be an option.
Now you start to understand reality.
Yep.
And if we can at least work on the positive side of things first, if we
Well,
can at least approach that, because we are going to have to work with our code enforcer just to even make this program work. They're going to have to be involved, and maybe one step at a time, and maybe things will work out that we can take those extra steps.
And
But this might be a first step.
And I don't want to take away your point. You're basically saying is, let's go back to the positive perspective of this My Hometown Plan. And I think to your point is that it sounds good. I like it. I think you will all like it. You just need to know more about it because it's not going to come free.
Right.
And at some point in time, somebody's got to pay the bill, and you're going to say, okay, this is what it's cost to do that. So if you can bring somebody in and simply says, let's get to the details, and let's find an answer. Brandon, I'm going to tell you, okay, and I fought this tough. It's just bad. There's some real problems about leaving dumpsters out there to fill. And you violate the EPA standards and allow water to get into dumpsters that's got contaminants, I'm telling you, this city's going to get some hefty fines day after day after day. We elected years ago, we could do that, could not allow that to happen. I didn't like that, you didn't like it, nobody liked that decision, but you had no choice. Because the decision, had we left those dumpsters out there, which was a great program at the time, and that contaminant hit those stormwater drains, somebody is going to pay, and that's not the residents, that's Royce City. And that was incredibly expensive to get fined on that. And Roy never had the problem because we fixed it. But I'll tell you what, there's a city in Salt Lake County that didn't, and they got fined. And it was healthy, fine, day after day until they got the problem resolved. So there are some restrictions what we can do. And what bothers me is, because I see the same thing, is that the city can't do it, but I see contractors pulling their dumpsters out there, and the contractors get away with it. Well, as long as it doesn't flow out of that container and flow into our stormwater drains. And if it does that, then we got a real problem. And I'm sure in heck not going to pay for that. That's certainly the contractor will. But keeping the positive side to this, if in fact, and we'll see witness on that on the 23rd. On the 23rd in Roy City, a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, Michelle, you got a program running. And you're allowing everybody who wants to participate to come in, join us, and really start doing some beautification of the city. I've read your packages. It looks great. We've been doing this idea for years, and I like the idea that it's moved away from just the youth, and now we're inviting everyone to come participate. This package suggests is we got to do 2 or 3 of those. And if we can do 2 or 3 of those, that's great. But please just understand there's going to be some administrative requirements here. There's going to be some requirements on public works. And all of that's going to come up to Amber's favorite topic, which is what's it going to cost? And if we can understand all of that, then I think the council will have everything it needs to do to suggest, does this move forward? But we got to factor all that in. We have to plan for it. So let's do it.
Yeah, I'll get a hold of this gentleman and see when he can come do a presentation and give us more of the details that we need to have. But everybody, the 3 people I've talked to that have been involved in it said it's life-changing in neighborhoods. And so I just think it's something that we really need to look into. And hopefully we can make it work for Roy.
Well, then let me ask you this. I'm sensing the consensus of the councils to take this the next step. We okay with that? Because this is not a decision point.
Right.
Okay, and Diane, Ann has offered an idea. This is your project. You need to make your final comments of anything you think is also important we should consider.
I think that if we are interested in investigating this, the next step, or the next first step, is just to see who would like to go on the 16th. And that will give us an idea if we want to even pursue it further. But we'll probably want to have the 16th as well as the information from the September presentation, because we really can't make a final decision certainly until we have more information.
Right.
But at least it gets us started.
Then with the 16th, if you, council, would like to join on that,
Just contact me if you don't mind, because I'll be the one that will be coordinating it with Mr. Peterson.
okay. Matt Wilson, I just want to make sure, when 3 or more council members get in the same room, it's a public meeting. We need to make sure we understand where this one is. I think it's a service, so I think it's on the fringes. It's probably not, but I'm always cautious when I get 3 city council members in the same space.
Yeah. Yep. Only 2 can go.
Okay, that sounds great.
Well, but if he's offering 2 different time slots.
Sure,
could be-
absolutely.
I wonder if you'd comment.
Okay, well,
Yep.
that was not clear in the package, so.
No,
Yeah, 8:30 and 10.
8:30.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking is that it was probably, these things
either
could get
or.
in there and do it. But
So we can
Matt's,
find out. If just a couple of us can go, then
Okay.
we can just bring back the information.
But yeah, if you are interested, then we can.
I'm actually in town,
We'll
so
check
I'm-
into the details and get maybe 2 times. Okay.
okay, if you can make it, get a hold of Diane and let's finish this. Just recognize the fact that 2 council members can go, the 3rd one cannot be there at the same time. We okay with that?
Yeah, great, thank you.
Interesting how the laws are, aren't they? Okay, good discussion. Next discussion item is the rail runner speed humps. Randy, you're going to lead us in this conversation.
Yes, council, and everybody from the Rail Runner neighborhood. Thank you so much for your feedback today. We have been working this problem quite in-depthly for quite some time. I misinterpreted what we were allowed to do when I brought forth stop signs. We do have authority to go through and put in speed humps. And that is what I want to put before the council today, is Mr. Esplin has gone through and pretty much surveyed his entire neighborhood. The vast majority, with the exception of a few outliers, with the gentleman that's shaking his head, I know, I see you, and I acknowledge you, is against the speed humps. But this, at least from a first initial steps perspective, feels like the step in the right direction. That will go through and help to give the neighborhood at least acknowledgement that we are looking at this actual issue that will, once we get to full occupancy, is going to be an issue. And so I do see this as kind of like the first initial step of what we can take and do before we can go through and do a formal traffic study. And so I guess I would just like to, query the council and see if you would be in support of actually, at the discretion of Public Works, and determining where they think would be like most appropriate if we decided to go the route of putting in speed humps. So.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Comments relative to the idea? You read his input. What's your thoughts?
So I know for many things we have certain criteria, and the mayor gave us the white paper on the Mill Creek example of the criteria. So I was just wondering, is there some baseline criteria that we have? Is it something that we do preemptively very often? Is it something that we do after we know what the full impact is?
Sure.
I think that these are maybe just some of the questions I have.
Yeah, no, and again, when you take into consideration there is only one spot in the entirety of Roy that has these, there is no prescriptive methodology. I would say in a future council, I would like to put forth, and again, we'll use Councilmember Scadden's, adage, plagiarism is the highest form of flattery, is if somebody in another municipality has gone through and figured out what the, secret sauce magic formula is to basically put in speed humps from a future date perspective, I do definitely want to take and entertain that. And so that way we're going through and there is and I want to say method to our madness, because that's not what we're doing here. We're responding to the voices of, the concerned community, and basically coming up with a solution that they're mostly in support of. And so, I mean, that's generally what I'm just basing it off of at this particular point in time.
So where was you thinking of putting them from right when you enter the neighborhood all the way clear to the end of the?
So if you go to, and it's kind of interesting when you look at, because I intentionally put in the map of like the entire area.
Right.
So as you come off of 4800, it actually technically has a traffic calming curve. I don't know what they technically refer to that as, but it has that natural curve that's supposed to temper back. And so that's why I'd say I would leave it up to the discretion of Public Works, because there does seem to be and feel like there's a bit of a straightaway where people could be, picking up speed. And again, so that's why I would say I am by no stretch of the imagination a professional when it comes into putting any type of speed humps. I'm just presenting the idea and then leaving it up to the discretion of Public Works in terms of where they think would be most appropriate.
But you wouldn't put them in the neighborhood till all the units are filled? Is that what you were saying? Or I mean, are they already are leasing some now, aren't they? Aren't people able to move into those as of now?
I couldn't definitively say yes.
I know when
no.
I drove down there, it looked like the offices.
They're close. Yeah, I don't think anybody's in there yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm saying again, timing wise, it's go ahead.
Public Works regarding snow removal. Where are you guys at on that?
Can you come to the microphone?
Brandon?
I heard that humps work, just not bumps.
Right.
Yeah, so humps are definitely a lot better than bumps, but I mean, we're not a fan of them. It's hard on our equipment, but we have them on 5700 and we do plow them.
Well, then, is there another type of calming device, maybe island median? Do they work?
Yeah, there's several different types, like the chicanes and stuff that basically diverts the traffic around. Those are a lot more expensive. I mean, the speed humps, and then I'm a big proponent of the radar signs that give us feedback, just because that relays to us if we do have a speeding problem, because, I mean, I feel like everybody probably thinks that people speed down the road, but I mean, I like that idea, but like you said, it's your guys' decision, and whatever you guys
And
tell
I'll
me
put
to
it out
do,
there.
I'll do.
I'm not also against putting in one of those because that would at least start to give us numbers, and so we could kind of gauge. So again, no option is off the table. I put forth speed humps, but if there's appetite for the, actual
And how
radar
much are
sign.
those signs?
They're
And-
$4,000.
And you have money in your budget for those?
Yeah, we can
And
utilize
so
Class C
I know
money.
the one on 4400 works for me.
Yeah.
If ever I'm going more than 30, I always slow down. So I think that those work in
Mhm.
neighborhoods, and then they keep the data, and then you can go back and see, and then maybe if people are speeding, because obviously if they're going 30, 35, then I wish it could just take pictures of them too at the same time so we can give them all tickets, but
Yeah, and I mean, it does give you data down to the hour, so you can kind of pinpoint the times during the day that you're having issues, and you could send an officer down there during them times.
Which I think, Brandon's council is probably one of the most
Right.
fundamental issues.
Agreed, yeah.
You got to establish a baseline, and the baseline simply today is that the community there is comfortable because they think they have a control over that. The concern that's coming out would be is by populating the townhouses that are going in, traffic congestion, traffic on that road is going to increase significantly. What does that mean? And I promise you, if there was a traffic study done, the first thing they're going to do is somebody's going to sit out there for so many hours. That's how the system works, and they're going to count cars, and they're probably going to count speeds, and they're going to spend a lot of time and a lot of money, basically, and we'll pay for that, for them to accumulate data. Well, put a couple of these radar units, in there, and not only we'll give them the feedback, which is exactly what's happening in every one of the places we've got them, but Brandon can pull down the data that tells us how many cars went through there, and we now have solid information that we can now build an argument that says, hey, we've got a lot of traffic moving through here. And so rather than intuitively know that's going to happen, we can document that. And then when we have individuals that step up and says, hey, we got a traffic problem, pull the data. What's the data tell us? Because you did that, council, when we decided we're going to say, we're going to increase the speed limit on 6,000 on the lower part. And we went from 25 to 30 miles an hour. You looked at the data. And basically, the data told you, if you remember, that 75% of the people driving down that street was breaking the law. 75%. How do we know that? Because the data told us that. And when you get those irate people that simply says at 1 o'clock in the morning, I want to get home early, and they're going 50 miles an hour down the street, you know that car went 50 miles an hour down the street, and it happened at 1 o'clock. And when that happens every night or every weeknight, then to the point, that's a good time to let the police officer say, hey, put somebody on that corner. See if we can tag them. This is what data can tell you. And you don't have to hire an engineering study to tell you that. It's going to give that to you. Now, to your point, Randy, which says, hey, what about the humps? My only comment to you would be is that, and this is just my opinion, I've researched, as Randy's indicating, I found 5 or 6 or 7 cities in our communities around here that have traffic calming policies that gives them direction. Exactly. I gave you some in the packet I sent you. Randy's right. If we'll now take that to the next step, because you're going to have communities stepping up over and over and over again saying is, I need a calming circle. I need a calming device. I need something to help us to kind of find a solution here. And if you start thinking about that, now you got a policy to do that. But here's what these policies say. And if you didn't read it, I'll repeat it. Almost everyone I read said this: if the people in that community want it, then sign up with an address and put your signature on it so that we know you are supportive of it. And if you can get, as I think I gave you Mill Creek and I give you a couple others, 60% of the community says, yes, they want this device, then they put it in. But they had the signatures of the people saying they'll support it. And why is that important? And I'll repeat this last time. Because I will tell you, when Roy City took out the calming circle on 5700 and installed, which was the right idea, and installed 3 of these humps, and by the way, Brandon, you built those. By the way, you have a portable one that we put in temporarily, but you built one, and you did that in large part because you need to make it work so that you can get a fire truck, or you can get a plow truck, or you can get some other heavy equipment to get over it without tearing out the bottom. And they work. Today, I drive over them, they work. But I will tell you, we still get complaints. 3-4 years after we installed those, we still get complaints. People don't like them. And I don't disagree with that. The chief argument has been they go over the hump and then they push the accelerator and they scream down to the next one. Gee, we're not creating a road race here. We're trying to save people, save lives. That's why they were installed. But they're perfect calming devices. The National Highway Administration says by putting a calming device, in this case a hump, you will reduce the speed. This has statistically been proven. You will reduce the speed by 18%. 18%. That's going to help change what could happen in this community. So my comment to you would be is, if you like what you say, if you think Randy's ideas make sense, then you have the authority, best we can tell, if we have the funding, we can have one put in, and maybe it needs two. But let me go back to Brandon's point. To really make this work, spend the $4,000, $8,000 and let him put those radar units in. Because if we're really going to find a solution, then we got to have a baseline to start with that says, here's where we are and here's where the problem is. Now, you can quote me on this comment, so please do this, okay? I'm going to tell you, if I lived in those townhouses that's being developed, quote me on this one. I wouldn't go down that street. 4,800 is terrible. I would drive out the north side every time. It's faster, it's better. There is no other choice. It's the only choice. 4,800 is terrible, particularly during school times.
And a train.
And a train, but you also have a train on 4,000. But the bottom line of this conversation is, let's make sound decisions based on the data. And if the data points to a problem, then we can fix it. But I struggle trying to figure out how to basically, and you know we have tight funds, how we can basically do all of this without data. Because there's lots of emotion here, and certainly it's viable. But man, if we had the data to prove it, then there's not one of you sitting around this council right now who simply says, make it happen, Brandon, make it happen, Matt, because the data supports it. That's what you need. And Brandon offered you a solution. Let's put also the speed hump in, and then let's take it one step further and let's put some radar detectors so we can tell the people how they're doing, but more importantly, we can find out what's really going on. That's the answer. Comments?
So what you're saying is we should put two of those in, one obviously on the west side, one on the east side, and then wait till we get the data, or put the humps in at the same time?
You have the authority to put them in tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, how long does it take you to get those $4,000?
Do we have this? Yeah. Do we have the speed signs currently now?
Yep.
Do we have those?
Yeah, I'll double check, but we usually try to keep a couple on hand just in case one gets.
And that
hit.
comes out of your Class C roads funds, not out of our general budget, so that's money you have available. And then about how speed humps, what are they approximately?
So I actually got a quote, and I think right around by the time we do the paving and with the signs, we're close to $2,000 a piece.
So 4,000
The
for the sun.
painting.
So if we did, we're looking at $12,000. $12,000, and it can all come out of Class C road funds, correct?
It's not such a bad idea.
No, I think it'd be great for this
And I'd like to get the
community,
data
so-
first, though.
Yeah,
I'd
so-
like to definitely get the data
So
first.
you're in favor of doing like the signs?
Absolutely.
And then,
Well,
and
and
then,
then how
do the
long
feedback
do you want to
signs.
look at the data? I mean, and so when would you even want to put the signs in? You want to put them in after all the units are
no.
filled? or
Put the
them
signs
in-
in immediately,
put them
because
in
that's your
immediately.
easiest aspect in
Okay.
terms of least disruptive, because we can plop those in
And
not
then
gonna-
just
We
wait a
can-
couple weeks, look at the data, and
I
then
don't
then
think
put the
weeks.
humps
I
in?
think
or
you're
what?
looking at a few months.
Yeah, because we
Months,
still have to
okay.
get the people into the
Months.
units, and that
Okay.
way we can actually see like the volume of traffic and I wish I
See
could
if-
call on you. But
See if they're even needed.
right, yeah.
The
yeah.
speed hump.
Well, I know wherever there's those signs on 4400 and then coming down from Washington Terrace, because when you come down that hill, you're always going faster than what it says. As soon as you see the speed and the red starts flashing, you do slow down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think those do work everywhere I've seen them, that they do work.
Brian, do you have a comment?
No, I don't.
Well, then all I can say to you this is, council, there's nothing we see in the policies, both at the state and federal level, that doesn't allow you to make this decision. If you direct Matt that says, I'd like over the next period of time, fit it into the schedule, to put these radar speed stations, then direct him to do that, and I just need a majority. And he will do that. If you want to, at the same time says, Matt, I want to put in a couple speed humps. They're $2,000 a piece. If he doesn't get them in soon, he's going to run into weather. So if you're going to do this, we got to do it right.
Right.
Okay? If you want to do that, then I'm kind of saying is direct Matt to do that. All I need is a majority. And then he can spend the next couple of months making that happen. And if that helps the community to feel safer, helps them to get that. And by the way, this data that we're talking about is public information. I don't think we have any problem going up there and saying is, if there's one or two people in that community who says, I'd like to see that data, give it to them. Share it with them. Let them help them to be able to make informed decisions. I would much rather have them stand up here and basically say to us as a council that simply says, we got some craziness going down there. Let me show you the data. And there's no argument there. It's the facts. And that's where you can really take hold and justify that says, I need to spend $5,000. That's a good investment. So you have a choice. It's your call. But you can either say, put the electronic feedback signs in now, as soon as possible, and also put some speed humps or one speed hump to kind of get it started, or you can simply wait after the data comes in to support it. But just listen to what I'm going to tell you, okay? Speed humps are intrusive. They do interesting things, okay? And I will tell you, not everybody's going to like them. But if you believe it is in fact the right answer and you want to do it, then I say to you this, you can do it. But if we're going to go forward and you will have this conversation again, then let's get, as Randy suggested, let's get a policy and let's get the people who want this kind of stuff in their community to sign a document so that Matt has the Kevlar that simply says, wait a minute, we asked you, you signed it and agreed to it, and we put it in. And basically he can then say, he says, you wanted it, you signed. Even if they come in and get selective amnesia later, he has the documentation to support it. And then we can take a lot of the emotion out of this issue. And I promise you, it will be emotional because those are incredibly intrusive, but they work.
Yeah,
It's been proven to work.
Right. My brother lives in that neighborhood, so I slow down for him all the time. And I just keep going slow because I'm not going to speed up to hit the next one. But how far do you know? Obviously, you know how far to put them apart. Is there like a
Is there a recommendation?
yeah recommendation?
I mean,
And then also when you do put them up, I mean, how soon before you can drive over them? They have to sit for. I know it's not like cement, but once you like
And do we still
passing
have
the
the-
road,
do we
you
still have
just
the
put them up
temporary
and then
one?
you can order.
Yeah, I
people
mean,
not
if
gonna
we
be able
if
to,
we did and we do half, and I mean, we'd keep the road open. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
that
you
size
can,
one
you
ring.
can drive over them an hour after we pave.
Yeah. And just understand, and Chief, just for the record, in the package I sent to the council, the biggest concern they have with this particular type of device, others, is it slows down your response time, okay? For police officers going into emergency or the fire trucks or whatever, because they literally cannot hit that at high speed, at any speed. They have to be a little slower. But, you know, we only may be talking a couple of seconds here. That may be okay, but I'm just saying is that all the reports I read made it clear it's your emergency vehicles, it creates a concern. And the plow trucks. It makes that very, very clear.
right, Theron, or would that be a bad thing for you if we had those speed bumps in that neighborhood? If you had to take emergency equipment down there?
No, I think the safety of the citizens is more important. We make adjustments, and most of the areas in the city, we're well within the response time. So is it a delay? Slightly, but we have no problems with the speed humps or whatever decisions made today. So we'll adjust to those.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, council, we need some direction. What do you want to do?
Where are you at, Ann? Is this
Well, I think we need to put the $4,000 signs
yeah,
up,
let's put the signs up. I'm
you know,
for that.
right away, and
Yep.
then a couple of, I mean, one or two of those speed humps.
Diane, where are you at?
I just
know,
think we
but,
need to have data first because we'll never know if the speed humps help.
Right.
If we don't know where we
yeah.
started.
If people, yeah, if we're not, if
So-
we're, yes, I agree with that. I think we should collect data first. I'm not against putting in speed humps. It's just when. It's not, it's,
And do we need them?
And he's got a timeline. You can
Right,
only pour
yeah.
them and get
Well,
them in at a
I'm
certain
just thinking
time,
when
so.
school starts, you know, August 19th.
Well,
And so, I mean, I don't know how many kids in that neighborhood. I know one teacher, because she's our preschool teacher that lives in that neighborhood, of how many more people will be traveling on that road. So, yeah, but if you just want to do the data first, then,
Brian,
I mean, it usually don't snow now till like January.
Data first?
So,
You saying that, Ann?
yeah.
Brian?
I guess is that, if that's okay, I mean, hopefully that works out.
How
with
long? How
And then, so
long
if you
are
do
we
the
gonna
data, then you
collect
wouldn't get it
data?
till October, right?
Well,
And then
What Brian's
October,
asking would be is how
What-
much data
what's
do you
your-
need as a council?
yeah.
Okay.
If you
It
wanted,
seems like the sooner the better for these folks.
well, yeah, because that's what I was
that
thinking. If
been
you need
here.
to wait a couple of months, and that would
Yeah.
be August, I mean, October, we can get snow in October,
Well,
rare occasion.
all Brian is asking
So-
would be is how much data do you need to collect once they're in for you to be able to feel comfortable?
Yeah. So we can share that with
Because
the
it's
people
the
that are
end
here.
of the summer, not the beginning,
Yeah.
and so,
Yeah.
Well, right now, I think it's important to put it
Oh.
in now, so you know what it's like before before it's occupied. And then we need to
Yeah.
know what that change is over that change of becoming occupied, because then you're going to know, maybe there's another traffic calming device that would be better than a speed hump.
Right.
And so
Based
now
upon the
we're
volume and
we're just
correct.
jumping into
Yes.
something without understanding the bottom of it.
Right.
So I would think, maybe 2 to 3 months, and instead of getting in a rush to come up with a solution
Yeah.
that may cause more problems than it may help, I think that we should, and if we say we have got all the data we need in 2 months, okay, great. But I think we need to at least take a look at it and then decide. That's my
Likewise.
Does that
Go ahead,
help
Brian.
you, Brian?
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Well, I hate for the people to have to wait till fall before we get something done.
Well, this is something
yeah,
actually.
like the signs
These
we
are
get-
already
yeah, the signs
very
we get-
efficient
But
calming
he's-
devices.
But what he's saying, he's just basically saying is that
Yeah.
the people are saying is they want a speed hump. And so if they want speed humps, he's saying is get them in before fall.
Right.
Well, would you only put him in the neighborhood, or would you put him in the townhome
You
area
can't.
also?
That's private. That's not ours.
Oh, so
private
that's,
property.
okay, so only
Yeah.
in the neighborhood.
Only in the
So
neighborhood.
potentially two, probably.
Yep.
Randy, what do you want to do?
I'm fine with the data aspect, and I think the overwhelming majority of the neighborhood is in favor of just the flashing signs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And without the speed humps, at least initially until we get more data.
You're getting
And so if we
No,
get
no,
the data.
no humps are a
Oh,
no.
wait a minute. let's stay focused.
Humps are.
You guys want speed humps?
Wait a minute. Ann,
Well, I
Ann,
know,
let's-
but they're giving me signs. I can't read
well, I
their
know, but I'm
language.
just saying
It's
is that this is a
put the
council
speed
conversation.
humps
I know.
in while we collect data.
That's the two options. Do you want the speed humps in at the same time you put the signs in? Yes or no? Brian is
Well,
saying is do it.
Do the
That's
data.
what I'm
time.
thinking, because school's going to start, and then we could get early snowfall.
I
and
need to a get out of jail free card from the neighbors that if we put the speed humps in and the kids in the neighborhood go and jump over them and wipe out on a bike, we're not on. Yeah.
We don't have any criteria.
I know.
We're just randomly picking something. We've got a really good idea.
Yes.
But for us just to randomly decide that we're going to, you know, it might help us or it may not, you know, and we can come up with a whole bunch of medical analogies and metaphors for that. But I think that, you know, usually we want to do lab tests first, right? You know, we don't want to be jumping into surgery, or we don't want to be taking, you know, giving you something for your heart and cleaning out your artery, your coronary arteries, if we don't know they're even plugged, right? So I just think we should try to get data. Let's get some lab studies done.
So what if? Okay, so let's.
Well, here's the options that we're getting. I don't want to do this. Here's the option, Randy.
Go ahead.
And you said it.
Mhm.
It simply says, do the signs.
Yep, let's do the signs.
And let's do the humps. The question is, when is the timing of the humps? Everybody's agreeable to that. So think about that, Randy, because you're going to lead this conversation. Sophie, what would you like to do?
I'd like to see the radar the radar signs, the feedback. I'd like to see, because if you put the hump in, you're not going to know if the data, like, you don't know which one is working. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's going to be a few months of getting that. And I'm not saying wait months and years, but at least let some of those occupancy, you know, start
Occupants hit,
yeah.
Okay, and it will show it clearly if
Yeah,
they're using
it
that
will.
road. So your
Are
point
they
would be
going
is
that
put
way,
the
or are they
signs
going
in
the other
first and then get data to support the
Yes.
humps. Brian?
Because if the residents don't need them.
I'm saying put the humps in, the problem is now, and then we can collect data.
Okay. So do the humps and the signs.
Yes.
Diane's staying to get the data, and you kind of looked at both
So
sides of this.
What's usually the latest you can put asphalt down? Like November? Usually, I mean, I don't want to get to the point where it's like too late, it's too
I mean,
cold,
we're
no
totally
humps.
relying on the weather. I mean, it totally depends on if we get early snow or not. That's
What
just
about-
the hot plants. But yeah, I mean, I would suggest at least by the first part of October, just with the ground temps and stuff.
Okay.
So
About
if
the
we did
temporary
data
ones.
until, say, so all of September, little teeny bit of August, and then October, and then if the data showed, you know, that it's they showing that they're speeding, then you could get,
We could
you
put
know,
humps in.
put those in and.
Okay.
But I think Sophie's got a great idea.
What about the
We just-
temporary?
yeah, let's do
Are
the
they-
temporary
Yeah,
because
do we still have the
Before the
temporary?
snow.
Do we have
We still
temporary?
have the temporary, and I would suggest trying them because I know the residents want them, but I know that they won't like them when they're in.
Are these, they're
But they
those-
have to drive over them as well.
Yes.
And they're the metal-like
No,
things, right?
This
No,
is the
there's-
rubber base,
yeah.
Oh,
and
rubber
they
base,
bolt
okay.
it to the road.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
It's
that's
pretty
it.
aggressive.
Because that way they can try them out, you know?
Yep.
But
After
Brian,
Try
see
before
what
we
they
buy.
do.
Try before we buy.
But
Yeah,
I
your
mean,
po-
I do agree with if you do the speed humps, I don't think you're going to get the right data from them signs
Right.
because they
Oh.
are going to be slowing down
Correct.
for
Yeah.
the bumps.
We're changing the behavior, and we want to see
Oh,
if there is a
I
behavior
mean,
problem, and
yeah.
the speed signs allow us to do
Yeah.
that.
So I'm all for doing the data as long as we have time to put the humps in if it shows that they're needed.
Okay, Randy, you've got
Yep.
almost everywhere. What are you thinking?
All right, let's go speed signs, temporary speed hump, because we don't have to wait for weather or anything like that because it's already
Well,
pre-built.
we
or
don't,
what's
but we
the-
can't leave them up during weather as well.
Yeah, this
Okay,
one will
fair.
get torn
So-
off.
Fair. Okay.
But so we're going to do the data and have this temporary speed hump too? Didn't you just say that?
Maybe. Let's turn around. Yeah, let's turn around and let's get the speed signs at least installed. I think
Couple of
first
months?
couple of months just to start to collect data.
And how soon can you get those up, Brandon? How soon can you get those speed? You're getting your exercise tonight.
Sorry, I should just stay up here. Well, how soon can I get what up?
The speed
speed
signs
signs.
up. The,
So assuming, like I said, I know for sure I have one. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure I have two.
okay.
But assuming, I mean, I told my guys to order another one, whether it's at our shop or not. But I mean, we could probably get there the end of this week and then probably stand it first of next week
Perfect.
because we have to pour the base.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's
You
do-
okay?
Yep. Let's do speed signs, and then
Matt?
we'll assess the data here, and let's put it 45 days, and then if the data warrants, if 30 days.
30 days. I mean, I think.
No,
I
month.
know. I'm.
Let's let the experts help us
Yes.
to define it. All I'm suggesting is having the signs in
Yep, at
will
least
give
allows
you
us-
data.
Yep.
You can decide if the data is value to you,
Right.
in terms of you making the next decision. And you may want to bring in, and Brandon can help us, maybe get somebody who has a little more expertise in helping you to make this decision. What does the data mean and what can it do for it? And maybe we can get there. But at least I think the decision tonight would be is we're going to get started. We okay with that? You okay with that, Randy?
Great.
Right.
Okay. I know you're looking for public opinion, but at the end of the day, bottom line's going to be is that let's make sure that this is the right start and the council supports it.
Yep.
Because right behind this one, Matt, is going to be a whole lot of other people that says, hey, this is a great idea. Let's do the same. And I'm not saying that's such a bad idea, but you as a council have to say yes, and I'm going to pay for it.
Right. And once we
Okay.
get the humps in, do you take the speed signs down? And
No,
then
no,
we use
no,
them,
no,
or you leave them up all the time?
Why not? Because you may have a project that's unfolding there, Ann, that's going to last a year or two. And if what the allegations are being said is we're going to see a mass movement from this housing development heading south on that road,
Right.
then you're going to have the data that shows that. If it's happening, you're going to see it. And now they can, in essence, the data to support their concerns.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would say, just like they are on 6,000, just like they're on 43, just like we got them on 44, they're good data collectors. They're telling a story if we'll just simply look at the data and make decisions based on it. Randy, closing comments.
Let's go. Okay, let's put in signs. We'll start there.
Okay. Matt got the direction. Thank you. Okay, city manager's report. Matt?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to extend a big thank you to all the various departments, Parks and Rec, Public Works, Police, Fire, everybody. Many hands have to go into Roy Days, and it turned out very great. Wheezy was echoing David Young. She was very grateful and wanted me to extend her gratitude as well. Next, I wanted to let you know that every year we shut the complex down for for 2 weeks for a deep clean. That's August 16th through September 1st. Also, I wanted to note that on August 16th, the ramp days is going to be at the Aquatic Center. So Weber County Ramp Grant is paying for the entry fees for that. Also today, Mayor Dandoy and Brody went and closed on that UTA property, or the property over by the train station. Wanted to let everybody know about that. And then we've gotten a couple of questions about the 6,000 South Roundabout project on 3100 West. What was going on there is that the contractor, and keep in mind this is a UDOT project, the contractor came out and said that they needed some utility work done. I believe it was a gas line and stuff. So they stopped construction on that. Again, it's a UDOT project that the contractor has asked for an extension on that. UDOT has not approved that extension. So it still, in our minds, should be done by September 1st unless UDOT approves that extension for them. I was involved in another UDOT meeting today, and they were breaking this news to Riverdale City Council that 4400 South is going to be closed across the freeway. They got a contract from Granite to redo that bridge, and they're going to completely close it until around Thanksgiving. The reason why is because they're saving 6 months and $500,000. That's just the message that I was relayed.
I could tell.
Said this before, but the day of service, August 23rd, 9 a.m. Please save that date, very important. And then also another important date, August 12th, the primary elections. So that's all.
Big day's coming. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Matt. And Brandy is going to be watching that 44 closure very carefully.
Yeah, my bank account is too. So yes,
Yeah.
It's a well-popular place to get around
I
the town.
avoid Riverdale Road at all costs.
There you go.
I go down
Okay.
4400 every day.
Yeah, great update. Thank you, Matt. Council, your thoughts? Anything you need to see done? Anything you have concerns with?
Just a quick comment. The fireworks were fabulous. Great show. A lot of comments, a lot of people thoroughly enjoyed that. Michelle, hats off to you. The vendor booths and taking that on for your first year, that ran so smoothly, and it was nice to watch. And at the end of the day, and everybody was gone. It was amazing. So well done.
Yeah.
And the salmon bake and all of it. Like, there's so many things that you can say from Miss Roy. I know those girls had a blast. Being with them this week was, they're so cute and ready to serve. So
They did like 3 or 4 wardrobe changes because 2 of them ran the 5K and then changed and then came and jumped in the parade and then came over to the art show and they were in another. I was like, yeah, I swear I saw them do like 3 or 4 wardrobe changes. So
super excited to see what they do this year. So
Yeah, big kudos on Roy Days. It was great, a great event, and thank you for all your work. And then just Chief Williams, just wanted to thank you for the report that you sent out, the fire report. That was very helpful. So
Yep.
so appreciate that. Thank you.
Other comments, council?
Well, and the car show, I mean, I got nothing but comments about the car show and how great that was ran, and I don't know, I think someone's looking out for us. We get good weather every year for Roy Days, and it was great. I also wanted to comment on, I know people have commented on the watering of the parks, and I know that there was a mix-up when the timers were set at 9 a.m. instead of 9 p.m., so that had something to do with the watering. You got that figured out, and I know you laid new sod in areas that you did have to water frequently during the day. And but also the cemetery, I go to a lot of cemeteries around Memorial Day, and Roy, I have family buried over there, and it's such a well taken care of cemetery. You do a really good job, and our parks look really, really nice too. So, and also the complex and the aquatic center, I went down there, I think they almost had 1,200 people. And so I think that's been really hot weather's been really good for the aquatic center. Who doesn't want to go swimming when it's 100 degrees outside? But I wanted to give a shout out to the RK Ranch House. It used to be Jesse Jean's, and then it was sold. It's been a lot of things, but it's a new restaurant now. Went over there. They were a sponsor of our 5K sponsor on one of the shirts, and so our athletic director told me to go try it out. And oh my gosh, they're only open till 3 and then 5 on Friday and Saturday. But I suggest the tacos. It was so good. I told them I'd give them a shout out because I was so impressed with their food. And anyway, I know Mayor had mentioned about, because I know somebody had told me someone had made a comment that we always just sit here and listen during the comment periods, and we don't ever say anything. We just stare at people. And I'm glad that you brought that point up, because it's your 4 minutes, not for us to comment and take away anything from your 4 minutes. Trust me, there's so many times I want to say something, and I've asked Bob, I'm like, can I say something? He's like, no, you can't. And so we just like to give you your 4 minutes and let you, have your 4 minutes. And then, like he said, if you need to talk to us after, we can give you our opinions, but we don't just sit here, like we don't want to say something. We just don't want to take away anything from your time. And I just wanted to emphasize, and I was really glad that you brought that up tonight. So
Yeah, and then I think that's important, and we certainly welcome questions. Send them to the administration. Send them to the council. We see them. If you got issues, send it to us, and you have a right to get a response. And when you answer or you send information, Brittany will testify. When you send, hey, I've got a concern about this, I can't make the meeting, it becomes part of the public record. It's not ignored. We want to capture everything we possibly can. So please help us. And if it helps you, then bottom line would be I think it's a win-win situation. So please ask your questions, capture us, set up appointments, let's talk. Let's just make sure you feel comfortable that you're getting an answer. And it may very well be an answer you don't want to hear, but you need to have an answer. And I'll tell you, this council, this senior staff, it's scary, but they're so cut-and-pick and transparent. And we tell it the way it is. Again, you may not like it, but you have a right to know it. And so when we point at things, we've done our homework. We're looking at things, and it makes a big difference. So keep us in check. Keep asking questions. Send us to us. We'll get you some answers.
I just have one last comment.
Please.
I'm on mosquito abatement board, and I did have them sprayed Thursday night before the salmon bake, so I hope there was no mosquitoes. I wasn't able to attend it, but if anybody ever has a big event coming, even in their neighborhood, all you have to do is call the mosquito abatement and give them a few days, and they'll go and spray your neighborhood. so you don't get eaten alive by mosquitoes, because they will do that, at no cost. That's what their job is. So I just
Okay.
wanted to bring that up, so.
Great, thank you, Ann. Anybody else like to make a comment? Last comment, if you don't mind. Michelle, thank you so much, and I know it's a team effort, okay? Certainly, we've seen a lot of players, police officers, obviously fire department. The entire staff basically did an incredible job over this Roy Days events. Just a wonderful experience. I could not, as it was indicated by Sophie, I think that was a 30-minute fireworks show. I was watching that. And I will tell you, it was incredible, okay? It was a great investment. Got a little worried early in the day because the winds were so high, and I expected the fire department were going to say, hey, we can't let this happen. We'll start burning houses down, but it cleared off. Winds slowed down, and it was a spectacular ending, okay, to this event. So kudos to all of you, but especially Michelle, because I know you put a lot of energy and effort into this. Thank you so much. Okay, it really made a difference, and everybody I talked to loved it, okay? And I think from the police department perspective, there was some feedback about shifting, so we're not there at 9 o'clock at night when we have some people like to come into the city and create some problems. Shutting it down early was perfect. I think everybody enjoyed it, and we didn't have, as far as I can tell, a lot of the crime issues, okay, or the concerns that we were concerned about, which I have mayor friends around us that were suffering, okay? And I think I sent you a note one time, Matt, that the mayor of South Ogden had to tackle on his quote Roy Days, had to tackle a kid, okay, that, and he held him down until the police come over and cuffed him. We did good. You guys did great. Thank you so much, okay? It made a big difference. Anything else before I call for a motion to adjourn? Thank you. Okay, then I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. I know that's Randy. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ann. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. We are adjourned. Council, take 5-10 minutes, no more than 10 minutes, and let's reconvene downstairs as we go into